Manipulators can come in all shapes and sizes. As different as they may be as individuals, there are certain things that manipulators have in common with each other, and that is the fact that they're sneaky, deceptive, and underhanded and will resort to using any tactic if it means they get what they want at the end of the day. They care little about your feelings or anyone else's for that matter, even the people they love. The only thing that matters is their own agenda and getting what they want. Manipulators resort to one, two, or several tactics to get to achieve their goals, always at someone else's expense. While the tactics may vary from one manipulator to the next, there are 13 laws of manipulation that every manipulator will use at one time or another. Law number 1, hide your intentions. Lying is perhaps the oldest and most effective form of manipulation around. Manipulators often resort to this tactic when they try to avoid responsibility or twist to the truth for their benefit. Some manipulators even resort to lying when there is no real reason to do so, simply thriving on the pleasure of creating chaos or the knowledge that they're playing with someone else's feelings. A skilled manipulator knows how to work this angle so subtly that you don't even realize the lie that they spin until it's too late. There could be several reasons why a manipulator resorts to lying. It could be to take advantage of another. To conceal their true intentions so you don't know what they're up to. Or perhaps even to level the playing field, so they can remain one step ahead of you. An employee who was concerned about their job might approach the boss and ask about the possibility of being laid off or fired. The boss, in an attempt to conceal what's really going on, might tell the employee there's nothing to be worried about when in fact, plans were already being made to replace him once he has completed work on the project he was assigned to. A colleague who has been eyeing that same promotion you are might withhold potential information so that they could put themselves ahead of you. Law number 2, attention seeking. A little bit of drama in life keeps things interesting, but for a manipulator, drama happens all too frequently. Why? Because they created it on purpose. Manipulators like being the center of attention to validate themselves and give their egos the confidence boost they believe they need. A colleague at work might resort to creating conflict between colleague A and B by telling tales to each of them about the other. This thereby ensures that while colleague A and B are at odds with each other, they then turn to the manipulator for comfort, which then makes the manipulator feel important. In a relationship, one partner could constantly pick a fight to ensure that the other's attention is continually focused on them and trying to resolve a problem which may not exist. Law number 3, behaving emotionally. Manipulators could be highly emotional individuals, prone to dramatic or even hysterical outbursts when they want things done their way. Melodramatic, loud, obnoxious, over the top, even at the slightest provocation a manipulator will resort to emotional behavior, which is most of the time inappropriate in a social setting. A couple loudly arguing in the restaurant because one partner is behaving unreasonably when things are not done their way resorts to this behavior, hoping their partner might be embarrassed enough to give in to their demands makes this an extremely effective manipulation technique when used correctly. Law number 4, playing victim. Everyone always feels sorry for them. They seem to have the worst luck in the world. No matter what problem you may be having, they find a way to make you feel guilty for even talking about it by pointing out how their problem is 10 times worse than yours. We all suffer from a stroke of bad luck every now and then, but the manipulator has managed to skillfully use that unlucky streak to elevate their own victim status and put themselves above everyone else. A friend who constantly plays up all the negative aspects of their life while dismissing your problems is resorting to this manipulative tactic to get the attention they want. Tell them you had a bad day because you had a flat tire on your way to work this morning and they'll tell you how you could be lucky you even have a car to complain about while they have to endure the hardships of public transportation. Manipulators resort to this emotionally draining tactic to gain sympathy from others, which is another way of seeking attention and making sure that everyone is focused on them. Law number 5, taking credit where it's not due. Manipulators have no qualms about getting you to do most of the legwork, and then swooping in at the last minute to take credit like they have done the lion's share of the job. A common tactic which is often used in a professional setting, especially in group projects or teamwork. These crafty manipulators flit around delegating jobs, seemingly appearing busy, when in fact they're not really doing anything at all, but when it comes time to take credit they have no problems about pushing you aside and taking credit for the ideas and the work that you've put in. Law number 6, depend on me. Manipulators want you to feel like you need them in your life. That you simply cannot live without them. In a social setting, they're the popular ones whom everyone else seems to flock to, making you desperate to want to be a part of that group. In a relationship, they could be the partner that constantly reminds you, what would you do without me, or how would you survive without me? They do you favors and help you out at a time when you need it most, making you feel indebted to them so they can come and cash in on these favors at a later date. With a manipulator, no favor ever comes for free. Manipulators create this false belief that you need them in your life, because the more you depend on them, the more control they have over you, which is exactly what they want. They prey on the vulnerable and make themselves the indispensable friend in your life, basking in this special status they have created. The more you lean on them for support, the more opportunities they have to prey on your emotions and exploit you for their own advantage. Law number 7, selective honesty. Have you ever felt so disarmed by how a generous person you know could suddenly turn around and stab you in the back? Or felt so wrong-footed when you realized you only knew half of what was going on? That's because the person who was feeding you with information was a manipulator, and the reason you feel stabbed in the back or wrong-footed is that they only fed you information that they wanted you to know while purposely withholding the rest. Selective honesty, a powerful manipulative tactic that can be used to disarm an unsuspecting victim. A tactic which is today very prominent within professional settings especially. Manipulators at work use it all the time to get ahead. If there are 5 people up for the same promotion at work, the manipulator will try to give themselves the upper hand by withholding important information that they know while simultaneously assuring everyone else that this is exactly what's going on. They lead you to believe that they are being generous by cluing you in on what's taking place, but in reality, they're making sure you're at least 2 steps behind them every step of the way. Law number 8, pretending to be a friend. Don't be fooled by the overly friendly person you just met on your first day at the office. They could be pretending to be your friend while gathering information about you which they could later use to their advantage. While some people may genuinely be friendly, start to raise the red flag if this person is being a little too friendly by asking very personal or probing questions, especially if you've only just met them. This tactic is prominent within a professional setting, and if your gut is telling you something is off, it probably is. The manipulator could even exist within your own circle of friends. They pretend to be your friend by subtly being the one who is in control of the conversation. The conversation will always be what they dictate it should be, and it will only happen when they determine it should happen. This friend might also pressure you into making decisions by giving you very little time to think about it. Phrases like, "If I'm really your friend, you'll do this for me," roll off the tongue of the manipulator too easily and always for their benefit. Law number 9, noncommittal. Do you know anyone in your life who has a hard time committing to anything? Even after you've told them how important it is and that you could use their support right now? The noncommittal individual is no friend of yours, they're a manipulator. They take pleasure in withholding their approval or support if it means there's an opportunity for them to give themselves the upper hand to control the situation for their benefit. They're only looking out for themselves, and they will especially refrain from committing to anything if it means having to assume responsibility. Being noncommittal is a manipulation tactic often used in romantic relationships. When a romantic partner is being noncommittal, it keeps the other on their toes and keeps them coming back for more, thereby giving the manipulator the upper hand. The longer they withhold their commitment, the more bending over backward you'll be willing to do just to get their approval. Law number 10, playing dumb. Is that colleague you know genuinely unaware of what's going on? Or are they feigning innocence to avoid taking on extra responsibility? Playing dumb is a manipulative tactic that often goes overlooked, but if you pay close attention, you'll find it apparent within a lot of professional settings. If you are a leader of the group project at work, would you assign extra responsibility to that one team member who wasn't as sure of something? Or assign that extra responsibility to another? The employee who was then playing dumb gets away with doing far less, but getting the same amount of recognition as everyone else in the group. When there's a conflict between a group of friends, could that one friend who doesn't know what's going on be telling the truth? Or could they be feigning innocence, knowing full well they were responsible for instigating the conflict in the first place? In a romantic relationship, could your partner who doesn't know what you're talking about be telling the truth when you confront them about an issue? Or could they be playing dumb to avoid being caught in a lie? Sometimes, the innocent party may not be so innocent after all. Law number 11, pointing the finger at others. A manipulator will always try to keep their hands clean by first, never assuming responsibility, and secondly by always trying to point the finger at someone else so they get off scot-free whenever there's a problem. Especially when that problem could potentially jeopardize their reputation and expose them for who they are. If you know anyone in your family, friends, or even among your colleagues who always blames the problem on anything and anyone but themselves, you could be dealing with a manipulator. Keep a lookout for anyone whose pattern of behavior involves always making someone else the scapegoat. Law number 12, telling you what you want to hear. It's hard not to feel good when you're being flattered, and you're more inclined to like the person who's doing all the flattering more than others. If there's one person in your life who's always telling you all the things you want to hear, wouldn't you be more inclined to want to follow them or spend more time with them? It's hard not to feel good around people like these, but telling you all the things you want to hear is not necessarily the sign of a good friend. They could be buttering you up so they can cash in on a big favor at a later date which you'll be guilt into helping them with because they've been so nice to you. Law number 13, controlling your decisions. A classic setting when manipulation in the form of controlling another's decision is present is within a romantic relationship. While it is perfectly normal for you to base or change your decisions because of your partner, is it because there exists within you a genuine desire to make them happy? Or are you doing it because you don't want to risk making them angry? There's a very fine line between what constitutes manipulation in a relationship. If you find yourself canceling plans far too often with friends because your partner expresses their displeasure or makes you feel bad, that's manipulation in play. If you refrain from wearing clothes that your partner dislikes, even though you love it, or stop yourself from getting a haircut because your partner said they don't like short hair, that's a subtle form of manipulation. They're controlling your decisions without making it seem obvious that they are. It could start off innocently enough with a remark or two, with something so minimal like expressing how the clothes you are wearing does not look good on you or the kind of dress you are wearing should be something else, and suddenly you find that your life has turned into nothing but decisions that don't make you happy because they're being dictated by someone who supposedly loves you. Subscribe to our channel for upcoming videos in this manipulation series. If you found this video enjoyable, please show your support by hitting the like button. Your engagement is greatly appreciated.